Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, good. What do you see on the cover? I told 3 people to keep quiet. All the others, please unmute and tell me, what do you see on the cover? Yes, Bama, what do you see on the cover?
Behind the child parents or something. He thinking about sometimes he's waiting for someone.
Okay, so what kind of setting is this? Is it the city? Is it a village?
Village.
Okay,
Paddy field are there.
right. The title is Food for Thought. What do you understand by that? Food for thought.
உணவுக்கான தேடல் உணவு.
That is the literal meaning. Okay, so because once you get a little more advanced, language will become figurative. So let me explain that literal versus figurative language. Literal is what you read is exactly what it is. I had breakfast today. There is no other meaning. It simply means I had breakfast today. Figurative is you see some words, but it's not the literal meaning. English is famous for some of this. He kicked the bucket. Quite rude actually, but okay. It's figurative language. He didn't literally go and kick a bucket. What does this mean? Anyone knows? Renault, do you know? Yeah, correct. When somebody died, you say they kicked the bucket. It's a rude language, but yeah, they kicked the bucket. Means, so figurative language is he kicked the bucket. The real meaning there is they died. So when you say figurative language, you can't just look at the words and give the literal meaning to it. They tied the knot. Anyone knows what this means?
They get married?
No. Any other guess?
Making the situation worse?
No. Getting married. They tied the knot yesterday means they got married yesterday. Right? So as you become a little more advanced, you have to start understanding figurative language. This is why I tell you to watch a lot. Only when you watch native speakers, you'll start understanding, okay, when they use these phrases, it means this, not the literal meaning. Okay. So something similar, food for thought, means something valuable to think about. சிந்தனைக்குரிய விஷயம். Right? So basically, oh, I have to do this important thing tomorrow in this way. That's food for thought. I have to give some thought to that. All right, so food for thought. This title is a play for both the literal meaning and the figurative meaning, because we are going to learn about some farmers and the challenges they face. But it's the figurative meaning also. Food for thought, they have to think deeply about some considerations. At the back of the book, they'll give a small summary. Read through this and tell me what you understand. So farm work isn't Joe's idea of holiday fun. So we can assume this boy's name is Joe, and farm work isn't his idea of fun, especially when he is on holiday. He wanted to spend the summer surfing. Okay, what is surfing? Yes, anybody? What is surfing?
அலையில சறுக்கி விளையாடுற விளையாட்டு. அலையில
Exactly.
கடல்.
That sport where you surf on water. Can you see my screen?
Yes, miss.
The surfboard? தெரியுதா?
No, no.
இல்லையா? Okay.
ஆமாம்.
Okay, let me just reshare that. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so this is surfing. So he's a teenager, or I assume he's a teenager, a young man anyway. He's on holiday. He prefers to surf. He doesn't want to do farm work. It's not his idea of holiday fun. Okay. So farm work isn't, hold on. Farm work isn't Joe's idea of holiday fun. He wanted to spend the summer surfing. But when he finds himself in the middle of a disagreement about GM, stands for genetically modified crop. So genetically modified crop trials, life becomes more interesting. Okay, what are genetically modified crops?
மரபியல் மாற்றத்துக்கு
Yeah, what was it, Taruna?
Paramparaya.
No, that is genetics. This is genetically modified.
மரபியல் மாற்றத்துக்கு உட்பட்டு.
Okay, your Tamil is a little too technical for me, but you might be right. This is like the latest science technology where they are changing the genes of the plants, right? So they are scientifically changing it in the laboratory and growing new plants. But basically, you are interfering with nature. So genetically modified. And there's a lot of debate going on. Is that good? Is that bad? So he is in the middle of a disagreement about crop trials. What do you mean by crop trials?
Mommy had said about that.
Exactly. So they have made the genetically modified crops and they are planting it as a trial to see if it works or not. And so he finds himself in the middle of this. Life becomes more interesting. So he doesn't want to do farm work, but suddenly he's in the middle of all this, and then life becomes more interesting, even though there's a disagreement about it going on. He also meets two very different girls. Okay, not one girl, two girls. But what do they really want from him? It's a question. All right, so from the back of the story, this is a summary of the story. What do you understand? What's this story going to be about? Yes, what do you think you will read about in the pages of the book?
I think he met a different cultural religious girlfriend. So he's thinking that whether he's going to marry or not because of the gene, because genetically modified. I think he's not accepting that.
Interesting. That's an Asian discussion usually. And just because you marry someone of different genetics doesn't mean it's genetic modification. That's not going on in a laboratory, right? It's perfectly natural.
No, I think, but just their marriage cross. I mean, what
yeah,
do you say?
that has
they
happened.
married an Englishman and then they married the Asian. Then it's gene, it's exchange. No, that time it will become a different person.
Yeah, but it's still not laboratory modification, and it's a perfectly natural process.
Yes,
Uh,
natural process. Yeah.
so you might be shooting off a little too far there. That these kind of conversations, yes, our people have in Asia, but I would say Europeans have largely moved on from this. They would consider it quite racist to even think that. But again, there are racist people there also who don't want to marry us. But anyway, genetical modification doesn't really come into people intermarrying. It's actually considered a good thing to do because we are inbreeding. When we marry within our own community a lot, the inbreeding happens. The genes become thin. You have to mix with other genetic people to have healthy offspring. All right. So that was a very wide arc of it, but I suppose that's a very Asian interpretation. Interesting. We are going to read a British book. So, yes, anyone else? Based on only the synopsis here, the summary here, what do you understand about the story? What do you think is going to unfold inside?
உண்மையில அவருக்கு வந்து பாம்பு கதையில ஒன்றும் விருப்பம் இல்லை. ஹாலிடேக்கு போற விருப்பம் வந்து அவருக்கு இதுல போட் ரைடிங் அப்படி என்ஜாய் பண்றதுதான் விருப்பம்.
Okay.
இருந்தாலும் அவர் வந்து அந்த 2 கேர்ள்ஸை சந்திக்கிறார். அவையல் வந்து டோட்டலி இவர் எதிர்பார்த்த மாதிரி இல்ல, வித்தியாசமான ஆட்கள் அவையல். அதே நேரம் அந்த கேர்ள்ஸுக்கும் வந்து விருப்பமா இருக்குது இவற்ற அந்த ஃபன் பண்றது அப்படி விருப்பமா இருக்கு. நான் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணேன்.
Okay, so that doesn't it doesn't say anywhere the girls like him. What do they really want from him?
Want from, yeah.
Okay, அவர்கிட்ட இருந்து என்ன எடுக்க விரும்பினம் என்றதுதான் கேள்வி அதுல. Okay, so based on the summary, straightforward summary is it's a teenage boy or a young boy anyway on holiday. So I am assuming school vacation or college vacation. He wants to go surfing, but instead he finds himself on a farm doing farm work, which he doesn't want to do. But then debates about crop trials, genetically modified crop trials develop, and he finds himself in the middle of it, and life becomes a little more interesting. Along the way, he meets 2 very different girls. That is, one girl is very different from the other girl. What I am understanding from this situation is he might be attracted to the both of them, but they are very different from each other. So he doesn't know what he wants. And then he doesn't know what they want from him. So typical teenage young man issues. Let's see. So Penguin readers are simplified texts which provide a step-by-step approach to the joys of reading for pleasure. All right, so these are for adults, but simplified text so that you can read at your level. So easy starts 200 words. Level 1, 300 words for beginners. Level 2, 600 words, elementary, just slightly above beginners. Now we are at level 3, 1200 words, pre-intermediate. So that's the level you are at. Let's see whether you are able to understand while you read it. Oh, and I forgot to introduce this. So this book is available at the British Council Library. I highly recommend you get a library membership if you don't have it already. And we'll read 1 or 2 books like these here, but after that, you have to get into the habit of getting library books and reading on your own regularly.
This is a graded book.
Yes, it's a graded book. It's a pre-intermediate level graded book. So at the Jaffna library, what you will find is the librarian has color coded it. So the beginner level is purple color coded, very, very simple English, everything in the present tense. Then comes the elementary level, starts with easy elementary in yellow color, which moves into past tense also. And then slightly more difficult elementary in red color, which has more advanced sentences in all three tenses. And now we come to the green color code, which is pre-intermediate level. Again, fairly long sentences, figurative language has started coming in, which means it's not the literal interpretation always. You have to be able to understand figurative language when you see it.
Color coded like that, ma'am. There are color coded,
Yeah.
but not enough books here.
I
That's
see.
problem. There
Oh,
are so many workbooks in the racks.
okay,
But
interesting. I had to find out what I don't know the Colombo system. I'll find out and get back to you on that, Zaruna.
okay.
I wanted to talk to the librarian there about the graded.
I'm so boring when I go to the library.
I see. Okay, all right.
No enough of books, the interesting one.
Okay. Jaffna has a good selection, but still a limited selection. Problem is no one is taking the book, so it's still there. However,
But
if
huge
enough students
crowd.
start taking, we don't have
No.
enough books actually.
Actually, here huge crowd are there. British
Yeah,
crowd.
that's what I assumed when you told me. Colombo has a huge crowd, so I think people are checking out the books, and they
Yeah.
don't have enough books to cover the crowds. Okay.
Might be something like that.
Jaffna, nobody reads, so the books are all on the shelves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Colombo situation is not like that. There are always there are filled with library.
Okay.
When I go to the library, I saw that one.
Yeah. That's why Colombo people can read, speak better than Jaffna people. We have lost the habit of reading here, unfortunately. All right, so guys, based in Jaffna especially, you have to get your British Council membership and start checking out these books regularly. So 1 or 2 books I'll read with you. After that, it's your job to regularly take out books and read. Okay, let's go to the story. All right, I'll give you a minute. Just read through this on your own. Let's see what you understand. Do you understand what you are reading? Pama Avalangula? Yes.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Niro, do you understand what you are reading?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's go through that. So first they start with a quote, a conversation between people. We don't know the full story, but we see the conversation. Okay, I'll keep my promise. I won't tell anybody, not even Kate. But I am not coming with you and I won't change my mind. Don't ask me again. Okay, so one person is saying that. The other person says, so that other person is Anna. I won't, Anna said. You'll see that I am right in a few years' time, but it'll be too late. Okay, someone translate this for me. What's happening here? Yes, Renault, translate the first line for me. What does that mean exactly?
ஒரு ஆள் சொல்றார், ஐ வில் கீப் மை ப்ராமிஸ். நான் இந்த சத்தியத்தை தொடர்ந்து கடைப்பிடிப்பேன்.
ம்.
ஐ ஒன்ட் டெல் எனிபடி. நான் ஒருத்தருக்கும் சொல்ல மாட்டேன். நாட் ஈவன் கேட்டு கூட சொல்ல மாட்டேன்.
ம்.
பட் ஐ ஆம் நாட் கம்மிங் வித் யூ. நான் உன்னோட வர மாட்டேன். ஐ ஒன்ட் சேஞ்ச் மை மைண்ட். என்ற மனதை நான் மாற்றிக்கொள்ள மாட்டேன். டோன்ட் ஆஸ்க் மீ அகைன். திரும்பி என்ன திருப்பி என்னட்ட கேட்காத.
Right. Okay. You're correct, but part வாசிக்கிறீங்க. Full sentence வாசிக்க வேண்டாம். இங்கிலீஷ்ல சில நேரம் மீனிங் மாறும் ஒவ்வொரு பாட்டா வாசிங்கண்டா. So let's go through that. Okay, I'll keep my promise. சரி, நான் சொன்ன வாக்க காப்பாற்றுவேன். I won't tell anybody, not even Kate. யாருக்கும் சொல்ல மாட்டேன். கேட்டுக்கு தானே சொல்ல மாட்டேன். But I am not coming with you and I won't change my mind. ஆனா உன்னோட வர மாட்டேன், என் மைண்டை மாத்த மாட்டேன். And don't ask me again. திருப்பி என்ன கேட்க வேண்டாம். ஸோ ஏதோ ஆர்கியூமெண்ட் போய் கொண்டிருக்குது. நான் ப்ராமிஸை கீப் பண்றேன், ஆனா ஏதோ கருத்து வேறுபாடு இருக்குது. ஆகவே நீங்க சொல்றபடி நடக்க மாட்டேன், உங்களோட வர மாட்டேன், திருப்பி என்ன கேட்க வேண்டாம். அதுக்கு பதில் அண்ணா சொல்லுறா. இது யார் சொன்னு தெரியுது இல்ல, ஆனா பதில் அண்ணா ஒரு ஆள் சொல்றா. ஐ won't. அதான் நான் கேட்க மாட்டேன், திருப்பியும் என்ன கேட்க வேண்டாம்ன்றதுக்கு சரி நான் கேட்க மாட்டேன். You will see that I am right in a few years time. ஆனா கொஞ்ச வருஷத்துல உங்களுக்கு தெரிய வர நான் சொன்னது சரியன்ட்டு. But it will be too late. ஆனா அப்ப too late ஆகிடும். Okay, so some argument is going on between Anna and one other person. That's the context. Now we start with the story. Joe is working on his uncle and aunt's organic farm in Cornwall. Okay, what's an organic farm?
என்னது இயற்கையான
Right.
without fertilizer.
Exactly. So no chemicals, no artificial fertilizers, nothing. They are very natural. So he is working on his aunt and uncle's organic farm in Cornwall. That's a place in England. But when he arrives, a genetically modified crop is almost in flower. And then
பூக்கள் தொடங்கிட்டது எல்லாமே.
Okay, and அவர் வரைக்க இவன் ஆர்கானிக் ஃபார்ம் ஒரு ஜெனட்டிக்கலி மாடிஃபைட் கிராப் புதுசா இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணின ஒரு இது அது பூக்குற நிலையில இருக்குது. And it is very close to the farm. இவன் ஃபார்மில பக்கத்துல இருக்குது. Okay, so அதுல என்ன பிரச்சனை வரும்? What do you think is the problem with that? You have an organic farm. There are crop trials going on in the neighboring farm, and it's going to it's almost in flower. What do you think? If you are a farmer and an organic farmer, what kind of problems will you have with that?
அங்க அடிக்கடி ஸ்ப்ரெட் பண்ணப்படும்.
Exactly, yeah. The seeds might spread, the cross pollination might happen. So just like our parents now wondering, my son and daughter getting married, now they are worried about the non-modified crop and the modified crop getting married and producing children. Okay. All right. In his first few days on the farm, Joe has a lot to think about, a lot of food for thought. Here they are put it in inverted commas, food for thought, figurative language. So when he arrives on the farm, he has to think about a lot of these things. Are GM crop trials safe or not? Who is right? The government and its scientists or the protesters who trash these crops? So there are two sides here. One is the government and the scientists doing the GM trials. On the other side are the protesters who trash the crops. What do you mean by trash the crops?
மீறி போற.
TRASH.
Trash. இது குப்பையாக்குறது மாதிரி.
Okay, so trash as a noun is kuppai, another word for rubbish, garbage, trash. Here it is used as a verb. It's an action. They are trashing the crops. So what do you think it means? The protesters are trashing the crops.
நான் அத
ஜெனட்டிக்கலி வந்து இவியல் இதாக்க போயினோம் பேயாக்க போயினோம் அந்த
அதை அழுக்கி நாம் அதை வெட்டு நாம்
இல்லாம செய்ய
வெட்டுறது கொத்துறது ஏதாவது அநியாயங்கள் செய்யறது யூ ஆர் ட்ராஷிங் இட் ரைட். ஸோ ஒரு கவர்மெண்ட் வந்து ஒரு ட்ரையல் செய்யுது, ப்ரொட்டஸ்டர்ஸ் வந்து அதை அழிக்க பாக்கி நம்ம அதை வெட்டி கொத்தி லைக் பேசிக்கலி தே ஆர் கோயிங் அகெயின்ஸ்ட் த கவர்மெண்ட் ரூல்ஸ் அண்ட் கட்டிங் த crops down. They're trashing the crops, right? So it's against the law or against the government anyway. So now this boy is wondering, who is right? Is it the government and the scientists? Or is it the protesters who are trashing the crops? Okay, who do you think is right? Anybody?
ஒரு ட்ரையல் வெர்ஷன் தானே, அப்ப கவர்மெண்ட் ஒரு ட்ரையல் வெர்ஷன் பாக்குறத அக்செப்ட் பண்ணலாம்.
Okay, but trial version பயங்கரமாக இது விட்டுச்சுன்னா என்ன செய்யறது? That's their argument. இது எங்கட காணிக்கு பக்கத்துல கொண்டது நீங்க நட்டா எங்கட crops-உம் அநியாயமாகி போயிடும் அதுல cross modification வந்து. And these are real issues that happen in the world.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Only a week later, during a storm. What is a storm?
புயல்.
Yeah. So very bad rain, storm. So a week later, during a storm, Joe has to decide. So ஒரு கிழமை 1 week later, he has to decide this. அவ சரியா இவ சரியான்றது. Can Kate, the daughter of a GM farmer, still be Joe's friend? So Kate is the daughter of a GM farmer. She is on the side of the government. And will Anna, one of the protesters, still like him if he doesn't help her? Okay, now these are why the girls are different. One is the daughter of a GM farmer, the other is a protester. Now he is friends with both of them. So his dilemma, his confusion is, can I remain friends with Kate? And if I remain friends with her, will Anna still like me? Okay. Joe's uncle's farm is close to one of the most famous surfing beaches in the country. So he is on the farm, but it's close to a beach and it's a surfing beach. During his stay, Joe learns more about surfing, but also about the problems of modern life. Okay, so young boy, he goes surfing, he learns about surfing, but he also learns about the problems of modern life. Okay, so this is the introduction. Now, next comes the introduction to the author. Pauline Francis lives in the south of England and writes books for children. Some of her titles are, okay, different titles. She also writes for young adults. Food for Thought was written specially for Penguin readers. Okay, this is about the author. Now you just read the introduction. What is happening here again as a synopsis. Now let's start reading the story. A change of plan, chapter 1. Someone tell me what that means, a change of plan?
மாறுறது.
மாற்றத்தை
Yeah, exactly. So they made some plans and then they changed it, a change of plan. All right, I'll give you 1 minute, read through the first 2 paragraphs. Do you understand what you are reading? Let's go through
Yes,
this.
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, fine. Let's go through this. Joe was in his room when the telephone rang. It rang again, but he didn't answer it. He didn't want to speak to anybody. He sat there thinking. So the telephone is ringing again and again, but he's ignoring it. He's just sitting there thinking. He doesn't want to talk to anyone on the phone. Typical teenage behavior. I thought Tom was a good friend. I don't want to go on holiday alone. I don't know what I'm going to do. So this is what he is thinking. So we don't know what happened, but it looks like Tom let him down. They were planning to go on holiday together, but somehow that friend bailed out at the last minute. So now he has to go on holiday alone. So he's upset about it. I thought he was a good friend, but now I don't want to go on holiday alone. What to do? When the telephone rang for the third time, Joe ran downstairs. So he's upstairs in his room, the telephone is downstairs. And the third time it rang only, he goes downstairs to answer it. Hello, is that Joe? A friendly voice asked. It's Uncle Dave from Cornwall. Hi, Uncle Dave, Joe replied. How are you? Do you want to speak to Mom? She's at work, but I can give her a message. So since it's his uncle, he assumes the call is for his mother. No, that's okay, his uncle said. I want to speak to you, Joe. What are you doing this summer? Again, summer. Most Western countries have these 4 seasons. What are the seasons?
Summer,
Winter.
autumn, winter,
Winter.
spring,
Spring. Okay. And which is the hottest season?
summer.
Summer. So they enjoy the sun there because they get very little of it. So during summer, they get holidays just so they can go to the beach and enjoy the sun. So when people ask you what are you doing in the summer, basically the question is, what are you doing during the holidays? What are you doing this summer? Nothing, Joe said sadly. So usually people have holiday plans, but this boy doesn't have any plans. He said he's doing nothing and he's saying it sadly. I've got a bit of a problem, Dave said. We need some help on the farm. I broke my wrist yesterday. Okay, so the uncle is calling and asking, what are you doing for the summer? He is actually doing nothing. Now the uncle says, I need some help on the farm because I broke my wrist. What is wrist?
Manikan.
Right.
Money.
So if a farmer breaks his wrist, he can't do much work. Oh dear, how did you do that? Joe asked. Okay, so read the rest on your own. I'll give you 1 minute. All right, let's go through that. Oh dear, how did you do that? Joe asked. I fell over the dog, his uncle told him. Okay, how did he break his wrist?
Night,
Fell over
night.
the
Yeah. Okay. I don't know who I could ask for help. Then your aunt thought of you. Can you come and work for us on the farm for a few weeks, Joe? I'll pay you, of course. So his nephew, and he needs some farm help. So he's asking, can you come and help us? I'll pay you for your time.
Miss, what's the meaning? Fell over the dog mean நாய்க்கு மேல விழுந்தது.
Yeah, நாய்க்கு மேல விழுந்து போனார், தடக்கி விழுந்து போனார். அதால மணிக்கட்டை உடைச்சு போட்டேன். I don't want to work on a farm, Joe thought. I want to surf in the sun, away from all this rain. So basically, England is a very rainy country. Even in the summer, it rains a lot. So he is sitting in the rain somewhere and he is thinking, I don't want to farm. I want to go away to the sun somewhere, surf in the sun, away from this rain. So he doesn't know how to say no. So he's just stammering here. It's not, I don't, Joe began. So he's trying to find the words to politely say no. You don't have to decide now, his uncle said, laughing. So the uncle understands he's immediately going to say no. So that he says, you don't have to decide now. Why don't you think about it and talk to your mother? I don't think I'm the right person, Joe said, but thanks for the offer. His mother arrived home later that evening. She looked at Joe closely. What does that mean? She looked at Joe closely?
நல்லா
ஆமா.
பாரு.
ஆழமாக பார்த்து
Yeah. So she கவனமா பார்த்தா, like, கவனமா அவதானிச்சா வேற. You don't seem very happy, love, she said. What's wrong? Did you meet Tom? Okay, I'll give you a minute. Read through that on your own. When you are reading, if you don't understand anything, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'll assume you know most of it.
Okay.
You don't seem very happy, love, she said. What's wrong? Did you meet Tom? He's changed his mind. Okay, he apostrophe S. That is short for what here?
He has
he
changed.
has
Yeah,
Has.
he has changed. Very good. It's not he is, it's he has. He has changed his mind about the surfing holiday, Joe told her. He's going on, here it is he is. He's going on holiday with his girlfriend. I'm sorry, Joe, she said. What are you going to do? Uncle Dave rang, Joe replied. He has broken his wrist, so he's asked me to help them on the farm. Poor Dave, his mother said. It's the busiest time of the year for them. So during a very crucial time, he has broken his wrist, the busiest time of the year. It was brave of them to start an organic farm, Joe said, but I don't really want to go. Okay, someone explain to me, why is it brave of someone to start an organic farm?
அவர் துணிவா இறங்கி இருக்கிறார் அந்த ஃபார்மை ஸ்டார்ட் பண்றது.
அதே அந்த துணிவு வேணும் ஃபார்ம் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்றதுக்கு, ஆர்கானிக் ஃபார்ம்.
கணக்கு
risk,
அதான்.
yeah. There are no chemicals,
Yeah,
so he will get lot of lost in future.
exactly. Yeah, it's very difficult to do organic farming when in these circumstances. So it's very brave of him to try that. Okay, but I don't really want to go. You will have fresh air and good food, his mother said, and you haven't got any other plans now. I think you should go. Mom, Joe said, I'll do what I want. I don't want to be on a farm in the middle of nowhere. There won't be any young people or any surfing. Okay, what is the meaning of that? In the middle of nowhere?
வேற ஒரு இடமுமே இல்லாத தனிஞ்ச ஒரு ஃபார்மை மட்டும் கொண்டிருக்கு.
Okay, so basically you are that's the literal meaning. When you say it's the middle of nowhere, it's obviously somewhere. How can it be the middle of nowhere? When you say that, it's like that's a very rural area that doesn't have anything interesting around it. Right? So that's a very scornful teenager saying that's a useless village. I don't want to go to the village, middle of nowhere. There won't be any young people or any surfing. So he doesn't want to go to a village to do farming. Dave and Jenny are only about 8 kilometers from Newquay, his mother said. Okay, I had to see how this is pronounced because city names, usually Q-U-A-Y is pronounced key in English. So I just looked up the pronunciation. Yeah, so this is pronounced Newquay. Not very important, but anyway, so it's an area. They are only 8 kilometers from Newquay now, his mother said. So that must be an important city. Don't you remember? You can borrow my car. Newquay, Joe shouted. It's got the best surfing beaches in the country. I'll go. They need help and I'll have some free time to surf. Okay, now he's convinced because they are 8 kilometers from one of the best beaches in the country called Newquay. Okay. Go through that. Have you finished that and do you understand what you are reading? Let's go through that. A few days later, Joe was on his way to Newquay. So he's traveling to Newquay just a few days later. At first, he took the main road because it was quicker. Then, about 30 kilometers from Newquay, he decided to get away from the heavy lorries. What do you mean by 30 kilometers from Newquay?
நீக்கில இருந்து அந்த அவற்ற ஃபார்முக்கு போறதுக்கு 30 கிலோமீட்டர்.
Right. So, நியூக்கில இருந்து இல்ல, நியூக்கி 30 கிலோமீட்டருக்கு அங்கால இருக்கிற இடத்துல, அதாவது இவர் போற வேகத்துல நியூக்கி 30 கிலோமீட்டருக்கு அங்கால இருக்குது. ரைட். சோ கன தூரம் டிராவல் பண்ணி வந்துட்டார் மெயின் ரோடால. இனி 30 கிலோமீட்டர்ல நியூக்கி வரும். அந்த இடத்துல he decided he is going to get away from the heavy lorries. So all the big transport is going along the main road. He is going to get away from it. He remembered his last telephone conversation with his uncle. Take the road across Bodmin Mojo. It's further, but you will get a beautiful view of the sea from the top. So this is called the scenic route. It might be longer, but you will see more beautiful scenery. And the uncle said, take the road across Bodmin Moor. Moor is a type of land you find in England. You don't talk about moors in Sri Lanka or any other country that I know of. Let's see. Can you see the pictures here?
No, you can't see.
Okay, let me share it again.
Yes.
All right, let's go and look at the definition of a moor. Let's look at the pronunciation also.
Moor. Moor.
Moor. It's like a moor. Okay. A tract of open, uncultivated upland, typically covered with heather. Okay, so it's basically upland. It's going up in the hills, uncultivated. What does that mean?
அறுவடை செய்யப்படாது.
Right. So it's a type of uncultivated land in the hill country. Okay. But anyway, only the English use it. Like I said, we don't use it in Sri Lanka. For land anyway. So across Bodmin Moor, there's a road, you take that. It's further. Further means?
மேலும்.
மேலும்.
It's a comparative language like good, better, best.
Far, further, furthest.
So far is the original word, then further, furthest. So further enda கூட தூரம். Main road enda konjam short ah irukum. Idu கூட தூரம். But you will get a beautiful view of the sea from the top. Right? So he's going uphill, and from there he'll get a beautiful view of the sea along this route. He took a small road up onto the moor. Uncle Dave was right. It was beautiful. The sky was blue and white clouds hurried across it in the strong wind. The fields were full of sheep, and there were farmhouses here and there on the hills. Okay, I'll give you 1 minute to read the rest.
Famous beach, but he was there, too far away. into his car again and go until he reached the other side of Bodmin Moor. As he came closer to the town, big black clouds began to cover the sky in front. Suddenly the sun came out again, and there it was before him. Astral Beach and the way.
Okay.
All right, let's go through that. So he could see the farmhouses here and there on the hills. Yellow wild flowers shone in the sun. Again, past tense of
So,
Shine,
Participle.
shine, shone.
shine. So,
Shine.
மஞ்சள் பூக்கள் மின்னி கொண்டிருந்தன. So, beautiful scenery. Joe stopped his car at the side of the road and got out. So, it's beautiful scenery. So, he parked and got out just to enjoy it. He smelled the air and it smelled as fresh as the sea. Joe now looked towards Newquay, hoping to see its famous beaches, but he was still too far away. He got into his car again and drove until he reached the other side of Bodmin Moor. As he came closer to the town, big black clouds began to cover the sky in front of him. So what does that mean if big black clouds begin to cover the sky?
It's going to rain.
Right. Then suddenly the sun came out again, and there it was below him. Fistral Beach, the greatest surfing beach in the country, with its yellow sand and big waves full of surfers. So he suddenly sees the beach. Joe wanted to go to the sea now, but he was already late. He turned away from the town, taking a small road to the west. What is west?
Made
Maybe.
At last, as it was starting to rain, he came to a gate with the sign Tregonen Farm. So this must be his uncle and aunt's farm. Aunt and uncle were waiting for him outside their small white house. Dave was 10 years younger than Joe's mother, but he was thinner and taller, and his hair wasn't gray. Okay, so Dave must be Joe's mother's brother. He was 10 years younger than her. He was thinner and taller than her, and his hair wasn't gray. Now, what does that mean? If
Melinji
நிறைய
Veeraman.
தெரியல என்ன வருது.
மெலிஞ்சு இல்ல,
மெல்லியவரும் உயரமானவருமாக இருக்கிறார். இன்னும் அவற்றை முடி நரைக்கவும் இல்லை தாயை விட.
ரைட், அம்மாவோட கம்பேர் பண்ணிக்க. ஸோ இவர் ரெண்டு பேரும் பிரதர் அண்ட் சிஸ்டர். ஸோ இந்த பிரதர் வந்து அம்மாவில் பார்க்க 10 வயசு யங்கர். அம்மாவை விட மெல்லிசு. அவர் மெல்லியவரோ தெரியல, அம்மாவை விட மெல்லிசு, அம்மாவை விட டோலர். அவட்ட முடி நிறைய இல்லை அப்படின்னா அம்மாண்ட முடி நிறைய இருந்திருக்கும். Right? So that means a comparison going on there. Okay. Hi, Joe said. Okay, I'll give you one. Oh, we are almost finishing. All right, I'll give you 1 minute just to finish reading this page, and then I'll send you the copy to read by yourself.
Okay.
Hi, Joe said. His aunt spoke first. Joe, she said, we heard your car. It's good to see you again. You are so tall now. Joe looked around him. There were no other houses near the farm and no lights except the one in the farmhouse. He suddenly felt very lonely. So, yes, it is the middle of nowhere. No lights also other than the one in the farmhouse. No other houses around them. So, they are in a very lonely place and he is already feeling lonely. His uncle came up to Joe and shook his hand. Shake hands, past tense, shook hands, shook his hands. He looked at the surfboard in the car as Joe spoke. Hi, Uncle Dave, Joe said. You didn't have a beard last time I saw you. No, I didn't, Dave replied. And you didn't have a surfboard. When did you start surfing? So what does that mean? You didn't have a surfboard.
இருக்குல்லனா
Right.
didn't have.
இப்ப இருக்குது. So past tense.
Yeah.
அவன் சொல்றேன் நான் உங்களை கடைசியா காணிக்க உங்களுக்கு ஒரு தாடி இருக்கேல. அப்ப இப்ப இருக்குது. இவர் சொல்ற நான் கடைசியா காணிக்க உங்களுக்கு ஒரு சர்ஃப் போர்டு இருக்கேல. So இப்ப சர்ஃப் பண்ண தொடங்கினீங்க. Last year at university, Joe said, I had to borrow the money from mom to buy this surfboard. I had an old Malibu one. I'm not sure what they mean by Malibu, but it's a type of surfboard, I think. I had an old Malibu one at first. It was easy to learn on, and it was great fun in small surf. அதாவது சின்ன surf. Surfன்றது அந்த அலை பாயிறது.
Dive on.
இல்ல அலையால் வந்து அந்த பாஞ்சு வாரத surf பண்றது. அப்ப சின்ன surfல அது நல்ல surf போர்டா இருந்தது. பெருசா பாயிற surfக்கு அது சரி வராது. But this one is better because it's so light. What is the meaning of light here?
பாரம் குறைஞ்சதா?
என்ன குறைஞ்சது?
பாரம் குறைஞ்சதா?
பாரம் குறைஞ்ச. வெரி குட். யா, இது லைட் என்ற மீனிங். அந்த லைட்ல நம்ம வரையில பாரத்தின் ஆப்போசிட் வந்து லைட், ரைட்? ஹெவி லைட். ஸோ அந்த நல்ல லைட்டா இருக்கணும் சர்ஃப் போர்ட், பெரிய சர்ஃபை மேலால பாஞ்சு கொண்டு வர்றதுக்கு. So he had to borrow money to buy an expensive surfboard because it's so light and it's better for the big surf. All right. I'll send you the book. Try to read it. See how much you can understand. We'll continue next. When are we meeting next? Tuesday, right? Well, what
Yes.
Tuesday and Thursday. Yeah. So we'll meet next Tuesday and see what we can do. Okay. So reading like this is very important for you to pick up language, the grammar, the vocabulary. They will come naturally only when you read like this. Otherwise, just coming and sitting in a classroom is not going to work. Just coming and sitting in this class for reading is also not going to work. You have to develop the reading habit, and then you have to get a British Council library card and start borrowing books. I'll ask you soon, where are your books? Show it to me. What are you reading? So read at least 4 books a week. 1 book.
Yes.
Is that achievable? Yes. No?
Difficult me.
Sorry.
1 week for a book.
1 week for a book. Okay. Maybe because you're a school principal, others have no excuses. All right. Okay, fine. I'll see you next week then.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.